Thanks everyone for taking the time to join this session today. We value your time. Today, we're going to be talking about how Cloud Assert and our Hybrid platform can help you monetize your Azure Stack HCI investments for business growth. In terms of the agenda that we have for you today, we'll start with a quick overview about Cloud Assert as a company and talking about what our Hybrid platform is about and how it enables customers like you to do a multi-tenanted cloud management or act as a cloud management platform for that matter. And then we'll dive deep into HCI in specific in terms of how Hybr helps you monetize your HCI infrastructure. And as part of that, we'll give a brief solution overview about Hybr and specifically the Azure Stack HCI integration. And we'll also cover a little bit of our roadmap coming up, and there'll be a demo as well so that you can get a glimpse of the Hybr platform and the value it delivers for Azure Stack HCI. Right through the course of the session, feel free to interrupt us with any questions, and we'll have opportunities to do that. And then at the end as well, there'll be a few minutes time available to do the same. We'll also have a couple of polls in between to survey the audience on specific questions related to Azure Stack HCI. So we look forward to your participation there as well. So Cloud Assert, we as a company, we are into our second decade as a company, and we are an independent software vendor or an ISV. We are a close Microsoft partner. We are currently designated as a solutions partner of Microsoft, headquartered in the USA in the Seattle region. And we have other centers in India and Canada as well globally. As a ISV, we offer both solutions and services for the cloud, spanning across private, hybrid, and public clouds for that matter. Now, when we say solutions and services, this means we offer products or software that are platforms that can enable service providers and enterprises to do cloud management and billing and so on. We'll talk more about that, about our platforms. So that's our product line. And then we also enable customers as a services company to modernize their legacy applications and then modernize them for the cloud. We have customers in several countries across the globe in pretty much every continent of the world, including Fortune 100 enterprises. Talking about our relationship with Microsoft, we kind of have a 360-degree relationship with them. They are our customer, our partner, and we are their vendor. And we, also are one of only 2 approved vendors by Microsoft to build custom resource providers for Azure Stack Hub, which is part of the Azure Stack family, in which Azure Stack HCI also belongs. And our solutions are hosted and listed in the Azure Stack Partners Marketplace. So if you go look up the Azure Stack Partners Marketplace, you'll find Cloud Assert solutions for Azure Stack Hub and Azure Stack HCI there. Talking about Hybr, Hybr is our flagship cloud management platform from Cloud Assert. It provides a breadth of cloud management capabilities spanning from cloud governance, multi-cloud orchestration, billing, FinOps, and cost management, to providing a rich marketplace to advertise all of your offerings and let your end users consume them on a self-service basis in a single pane of glass. And for those of you that are service providers and Microsoft CSP partners that also resell Microsoft Online Services to your end customers, then you can also leverage the Hybr platform to offer reseller commerce capabilities. Now, Hybr can be, it offers various flexibility in terms of how it can be deployed for your specific needs. You could, easily onboard to Hybr through our SaaS solution, which is hosted in the cloud by Cloud Assert, or you could, for sovereignty reasons or other data protection and security reasons, if you need it to be hosted in your own Azure or public cloud instance, then we could, deploy a Hybr SaaS solution there. Or if you insist that it needs to be deployed on-prem within your own data centers, then that is an option as well. So there is flexibility as a result in terms of how you want to consume Hybr aligned to your specific needs. So in a nutshell, Hybr is a multi-cloud, multi-tenanted cloud management platform that offers a single pane of glass experience for your end customers to, just like Azure Public Cloud Portal provides you a single pane of glass experience, we offer one through Hybr as well to consume services across on-prem and public clouds to be able to provision, manage resources, and then get to track the consumption of them and then get charged back for that. Let's dive a little deeper into what the Hybr platform's capabilities are. Again, I'm at this point just talking about the high-level capabilities of the Hybr platform across various areas. These are not specific to Azure Stack HCI. These are the common features that we have across any platform integration that we offer in Hybr. So talking about the cloud orchestration and governance capabilities, starting from the ability to discover your VM workloads that are running on-prem in your existing infrastructure. It could be Azure Stack HCI or it could be VMware. Hybr has the ability to discover your existing workloads and then provide an easy way to onboard and sync them to the Hybr platform. And then you could also define what kind of workloads you want to allow end users to provision and manage. And you can integrate with backup providers like Commvault, Veeam, etc. And as part of all this provisioning and management, it also is coupled with the ability to monitor the performance of your underlying infrastructure. And there is also extensibility available in the platform to align with your business process. For example, if you are an enterprise that has some processes in place at the time of provisioning or deprovisioning resources, such as making entry to a CMDB system, or you want to query IP addresses from a centralized IP management solution, or you want to automatically log a ticket whenever a VM is provisioned. It could be any such custom business processes that you have in place in your enterprise, which you follow today. You might be doing all of those manually today, where somebody cuts a ticket and then it comes to a centralized IT team. They fulfill the request by using various tools and scripts, some manual, some automated. You could automate pretty much end to end of every single step that's involved and aligned with your business process through Hybr. And as part of that, if you need approval workflows to be in place where somebody has to approve as a manager or as an IT admin, you could do that as well. Beyond that, Hybr also offers cloud governance capabilities in terms of having robust role-based access control capability for who's supposed to access what and to what level, and defining guardrails in terms of policies and quota settings in terms of how you want to democratize your infrastructure when you offer it as a service. Let's say you offer Azure Stack HCI as a service, then you want to say, hey, okay, these clusters are dedicated to these customers, and some other clusters are dedicated to other customers, or it's in an enterprise scenario, you share clusters across several departments, but you still want to define who can provision what kind of workloads and to what extent. All of that is controlled through the quota settings and policies. You can also audit all the actions performed through the system and track the utilization of resources. And if you even want to offer lab as a service through Azure Stack HCI or other platforms, then you can do that with Hybr, where you can automatically expire workloads after a certain period of time, much like leasing your VMs as a service. And then talking about the FinOps and cost management capabilities of Hybr, again, the foundation of the billing capabilities is a big data platform built into Hybr that enables us to, in a highly performant fashion, ingest ongoing usage data almost every minute, every other minute from various underlying platforms, and then the ability to define custom pricing configurations to align with your business needs in terms of how you want to charge back your customers for the services you offer, be it in Azure Stack HCI or other platforms. And then aggregating the collected usage information and then applying the pricing configurations to calculate the ongoing costs and consolidating them into hourly, monthly, daily gains, and then presenting them as reports. Again, we offer various types of reports and insights in the form of dashboards and such that operators and end users alike can have access to. And then you can also integrate with downstream systems to push the invoice information out to a legacy billing system like SAP, or if you have other invoicing systems, you could very well integrate with. There are multiple mechanisms Hybr offers to integrate with downstream systems. So as a result, you see that the platform provides an end-to-end capability there. We will talk more about the flexible pricing models that Hybr offers, because today's topic is about how do you monetize Hybr and Azure Stack, Azure Stack HCI using Hybr. So we will touch upon in details how you could do that. Let's take a brief moment for a quick poll here. So you should be presented with the poll in your webinar session, and please answer that question there. Has your organization procured Azure Stack HCI for your infrastructure needs? While you do that, I'll check if there are any other questions posted in the chat, awaiting response. I don't see anything yet. If you have questions at this point, please feel free to start posting them. We're happy to pause every now and then and answer questions along the way. So I see a couple of you have responded. One of you already procured, and you're still not considered HCI yet. That's good. So in the interest of time, I'll move forward here, but you do have the poll available for you to answer in the next few minutes as well. So let's talk about how do we monetize Azure Stack HCI within Hybr. Now, if you choose to offer Azure Stack HCI as a service to your customers, you've taken the effort to evaluate various platforms for offering infrastructure as a service and a hybrid cloud platform in that, and then you've decided to choose Azure Stack HCI. Now, how do you go about planning the monetization of your Azure Stack HCI infrastructure, particularly if you're offering it as a service to external customers? You could be a managed service provider that manages several, let's say, clusters across different customers, right? And some of these may be even deployed in customers' own on-premises, and some of them may be in a data center that you host for them, but eventually each customer owns a set of clusters that you manage because you provide a specialized HCI service, HCI management service. So as a managed service provider, you might want to see how do you monetize your services for your customers. Or it could be an enterprise scenario where a customer has deployed several clusters of Azure Stack HCI for internal department use, and they want to see how they can keep all of their teams and departments accountable by tracking consumption of resources and then charging them back or showing them back the usage depending on their context, and be able to do that in an automated fashion, right? So the key elements thereof are, the first and foremost is to have a self-service provisioning platform. Without having the ability for end users to provision workloads on a self-service basis, being able to track their consumption, and then being able to see what are the ongoing costs of the resources that they have provisioned, you're not going to be able to provide a robust experience. Otherwise, it's going to come down to having ticketing systems and others where a centralized team manages everything, and then people always ask you to provide reports and so on. Instead, you want everything to be self-serviceable, just like a public cloud portal allows you to provision and manage resources and also view the ongoing costs. The same way, you need to be able to do it with Azure Stack HCI as well. And that's going to be a key element of the solution. The second part is you want your end users to be able to provision workloads against your underlying infrastructure and ensure there is isolation built into that process, right? So just like in a public cloud where you don't have to worry about making sure that your workloads are secure, isolated, and nobody else can get access to, the same way you should be able to do it against Azure Stack HCI in order for you to offer it as a service and then be able to monetize it. Then, like I said, depending on you being an enterprise scenario or even in a service provider scenario, there might be scenarios where your customers require certain workflows and processes to be followed aligned with their businesses. Then you could blend them, you should be able to blend them into the overall experience rather than having disjointed portals to, multiple portals to go or different systems to use to submit a ticket and then wait for somebody to fulfill it manually or semi-automated basis for a couple of days or whatever, right? You rather want everything to be automated and people to be able to provision and manage workloads in a matter of minutes. And so you need to have a robust workflow management, governance, and policy management capability built into the solution. Then in terms of how you charge back the customers, you need to have flexibility, in terms of how you set and define the pricing, because not every customer is alike. everybody's cut with a different cloth, and you provide them different offers. Some of them may be special. You offer them certain discounts. Some of them may be new. You onboard them as a starter plan. Some of them might be, having a gold plan or a diamond plan that gives them access to a broader set of your infrastructure. Depending on who your customers are, you might want to define pricing configurations. And also, depending on which service, you could have different ways in which you want to charge back different services. For some of them, you could have flat fee based, some of them purely consumption based, or it could be hybrid based. You should be able to do any of that. Ultimately, it has to align with what your business model is in terms of monetizing your, let's say, infrastructure, right? So you need to be able to, for example, not only track the consumption of resources for the infrastructure itself, but you might have overhead costs like your operations team and hardware costs and whatnot that you want to recoup. So you need to be able to blend all of those into your pricing configurations. Then you need to be able to have the platform automatically track the consumption of resources, apply the pricing that you have defined for various customers and various types of plans, and then compute the ongoing costs, right, based on the consumption-based model. And be able to present all of these into through rich dashboards and reports, be it for IT admins who can have an all-up view of the infrastructure and who are the customers and how are they consuming it and what the ongoing costs are, versus end customers viewing their specific resource provisioning data and the ongoing costs related to it, and then the month-end bills, if any, in form of invoices. So these are the key solution elements that one has to take care of when you are looking for a platform that can help you monetize Azure Stack HCI. And Hybr precisely offers that. We touched upon the cost management billing capabilities of Hybr as a platform in general. Now, specifically for Azure Stack HCI, what Hybr offers, to enable you in the monetization processes, irrespective of whether you are an enterprise or a service provider, you can leverage the billing capabilities in Hybr platform to either show back the ongoing usage and costs, or charge back your end customers, by even integrating with downstream payment gateways or your legacy billing systems, right? So all of that is available and built into Hybr, and you can do it in a multi-tenanted fashion. You have different customers for who you have different clusters and different or it could be various departments in your enterprise. You can let them isolate their workloads, and you can track which workloads belong to which customer and be able to charge them back accordingly. And in terms of how you want to define the pricing itself for your Azure Stack HCI workloads, we offer various meters. We'll show them to you as part of the demo. Just like in Azure, different services are metered through in different ways. The services within Azure Stack HCI also can be metered in various ways, and then we make available all those meters to you as the IT admin, so that you can define how you want to charge back. So maybe you want to charge back for every core, vCore of, or vCPU consumed in a VM or a Kubernetes cluster, or you want to do it based on memory as well, and storage and bandwidth and so on and so forth. So we make available all sorts of meters, and then you can define how you charge back. And this could be for any service that you provision within Azure Stack HCI. Or if you could simply say, hey, I want it to be similar to Azure public cloud, right? So, the value prop for me, it will be that, I'm going to tell my customers, hey, Azure, say in South Africa region, costs so much for per VM for a defined SKU. If you were to use my HCI infrastructure and provision a similar VM, it's going to cost you probably the same, right? Or it could be a little bit marked up or down, from the Azure price, depending on how you define your value prop. You could even mimic Azure-like pricing models through our platform. Besides all this, we also have rich dashboards and reports that come out of the box in Hybr that are specific to Azure Stack HCI. Specifically, there are metrics reports to track and monitor the health of your underlying infrastructure in terms of the clusters, cluster nodes, VMs, and so on. And you can also track the usage consumption of various resources and their related ongoing costs. And again, operators can view it all up, and end users can view them, specific to their services and resources. Let's go on to, understand a little bit about how the admin experience and the end user experiences look like, for within Hybr. Because in Hybr, we have two classes of users. One are the people that offer Azure Stack HCI as an infrastructure, or the ones that manage your Azure Stack HCI infrastructure as a managed service provider. And they are called admins or the IT operators. And they have a dedicated portal experience for themselves. And then there is also the end user portal experience, which is where your end users come in and then consume Azure Stack HCI as a service and view their ongoing costs. So let me talk about what specific capabilities exist for Azure Stack HCI in Hybr for both of these personas. Now, for the operators and IT admins, the first step would be to onboard their HCI clusters into Hybr. So there's an easy way to integrate with Azure Stack HCI clusters and offer it as a service. You can define various quota settings and policies to identify how you want to model your services, and then offer to various customers what pricing configurations you want to align with each of these quota settings and each of these plans. You can define various plans and offers to bundle your services and then offer them uniquely to customers. Again, this could be VM-based services, Kubernetes clusters, any service for that matter, right? And you can also integrate optionally approval workflows if that is necessary to align with your business processes. And for IT operators, we also provide the ability to monitor your underlying HCI infrastructure and specifically if you have enabled software-defined networking capabilities for providing rich tenant isolation capabilities, then you can also monitor your underlying HCI infrastructure, which includes components like network controller, gateways, load balancers, etc. You can also track the consumption of all resources and then view various reports right within the Azure Stack portal. I'm sorry, Azure Stack HCI experience in Hybr portal. And these dashboards and reports provide insights into VM level metrics, cluster level metrics, or Kubernetes clusters performance metrics. And then in terms of the usage and cost reports as well, there are dashboards and reports related to that, which we will showcase as part of the demo. And we'll also show you how you can map Azure Stack HCI clusters to various departments, etc. If you're an enterprise scenario. Talking about the end user experience, end users can come in and easily provision and manage workloads against your Azure Stack HCI all by themselves without having to depend on somebody to help them, complete that operation. They can, perform various operations on those provision workloads, be it Kubernetes clusters or VMs, and then they can connect to those VMs through the browser itself using a built-in console connect feature. They can also perform other operations on the VM as part of the day-to-day operations, right? Like maybe managing disks or mounting an ISO and so on and so forth. And then they can also ensure that they achieve isolation of the resources by leveraging features like VLANs, available in Azure Stack HCI, or if you've deployed SDN infrastructure and integrated with your HCI, then you can even let tenants create their own tenant virtual networks and isolate their Kubernetes clusters and VMs by associating with those tenant virtual networks, or even peer them if they want, or enable VPN access to them through gateways and so on. And the end users can also view their own usage insights and reports. They'll get to see a subset of the billing data that applies to the services and resources that they've provisioned and have access to. And these are available in form of various pre-built reports and dashboards, which they can access and also download the data into CSV format so that they can open it in a tool like Excel and then slice and dice the raw data to create their own custom rich insights. And again, they also have if you have a customer and you're a managed service provider and you're managing clusters for several customers, then those customers that own their own Azure Stack HCI clusters on a dedicated basis can also view the infrastructure performance metrics of their respective Azure Stack HCI clusters. And if you're an enterprise, we can also aggregate the usage data and billing data department wise or team wise, and then present them for the respective departments that log into the end user portal experience. So this in a nutshell covers the breadth of the capabilities that Hybr offers for operators and end users alike, and how that could help you monetize your Azure Stack HCI infrastructure and run your business. this is a good time for us to switch to the demo. And before we do that, or while my colleague Praveen brings up the demo experience here, let me quickly check if there are any other open questions to be answered. Feel free to ask questions in the chat anytime, like I said earlier. Team, I don't see any questions waiting to be answered at this point. Am I missing something?
No,
So we're all good there?
we can proceed.
All right.
Yeah.
I could see a question from the Q&A part.
You are
From
able to. Okay, let me
Carlos.
check. Just to confirm, so Carlos Marconi is asking, just to confirm, Hybr lets share one HCI clusters among several customers, right? So, this again, you got to be careful with what we say here, right? So, if you are an enterprise that owns several HCI clusters, you could have, and you might have internal IT departments or teams that are your customers within a large enterprise. You could share clusters amongst different departments, or you could have dedicated clusters amongst different departments. Now, if you are a managed service provider or a service provider, right, that manages, say, HCI clusters that are owned by different customers, and you just manage it for them as an IT service provider, or it could be that you have several HCI clusters that you deploy in your data centers, and you want to offer it as a service to your customers. Then typically as a service provider, you would want to have dedicated clusters for each customer, right? One or more dedicated clusters for each customer. That's simply because of the way HCI licensing works today. But there are, there is some recent news about potentially, simplifying some of these licensing restrictions, in the coming weeks and months. So after which there might be opportunities to even offer HCI clusters as shared clusters to several customers. But again, Microsoft is yet to, demystify the details around it and how um, that would pan out in the form of either a new version of a product or just licensing terms. But at this point in time, the guideline would be to ideally have dedicated clusters for your customers if you are a service provider, right? I hope that answered the question. Any other questions waiting to be answered? All right. We'll come back if there are other questions coming along, the next few minutes, we'll come back to them and answer them. Meanwhile, we have the demo environment here. Praveen has brought up one of our demo environments. It's the demo.admin.hybr.com. This is the admin or the IT operator portal experience of Hybr. And one of the first things that you would do as an IT operator is to onboard your HCI infrastructure into Hybr. And the way you do that is to go to the navigation pane and navigate to vConnect, which lets you, onboard any underlying infrastructure on-prem or in the public cloud. You see here various options like Azure Public Cloud, Azure Stack Hub, and Azure Stack HCI, VMware vCenter, System Center Hyper-V, and so on and so forth. So we are in Azure Stack HCI connections tab right now. And, you could, let's say you are a service provider managing dedicated clusters that belong to several customers. Then these could be clusters running in your data center or in their own customers' premises, as long as you have access to those cluster endpoints, which is the DNS name of your cluster. Or it could be an IP address base as well, public IP address. So you could onboard a connection simply by providing the DNS endpoint and providing the administrative credentials to be able to perform administrative operations on those clusters on behalf of Hybr, right? So you provide those credentials, then you could decide, okay, what do I want to do with this particular cluster within the context of Hybr? Do I want to enable this cluster to accept provisioning and management of workloads against it? So you check that first box. Do I want to provide a browser-based console connect access to the VMs that are going to be running in this infrastructure? Then you can enable that. And then, again, the reason why we've kept all of these optional and configurable is every customer is unique. Some of them might not want to enable console connect access, or they might not have enabled, say, Kubernetes service or software-defined networking features. So depending on what services you want to offer and what services are enabled in your underlying infrastructure, you could turn on these features in Hybr when you onboard a particular cluster. And once you onboard a cluster, what you do is you would go on to define what kind of workloads you want to allow to be provisioned and managed against a given cluster, right? So here you drill into the particular connection that to that cluster, and here you have some sample templates, as we call them. These are templates that define the kind of workloads you want to allow. For example, here you have a couple of Kubernetes-based templates and a couple of VM-based templates for Linux and Windows flavors. Again, depending on the breadth of Windows flavors and Linux flavors you want to allow, you could create templates for each and every one of these. And all of these templates can also be published to a marketplace experience that we offer within Hybr portal. Think of Azure Public Cloud Marketplace. So similarly, there's a rich marketplace experience in Hybr as well for end users to view all the advertised services and then provision them from the marketplace. And how do you create this marketplace and curate this marketplace? So that's where, as an operator in the IT admin portal in Hybr, you could come in and then create these templates, publish them as gallery items into the marketplace in Hybr, and associate marketing information as to why this particular offer is exciting and what value it offers to the customers and so on and so forth. So once you've done all of this, then you would want to define how you want to monetize the service. So that's where you would navigate back to the billing experience in Hybr by clicking on the billing tab menu there, and then navigating to the pricing configuration section under billing, where you see pricing profiles. Now, pricing profiles is the heart and soul of the billing solution, which helps you define your rate card or pricing configuration, as you would call it. Now, you might want to charge different services differently. You might want to charge differently for different customers or different segments of customers. Depending on what your context is, you could define one to many pricing profile configurations, right? You could start with just the one pricing profile, which defines your rate card for all Azure Stack HCI services, for example. And then you could simply create child profiles that inherit from this base profile when you want to override just a particular service-related pricing for a given customer, right? So that way you don't have to repeat the whole process. You could just override what is just unique about that specific pricing configuration for a given customer. And it could just be a discount that you want to offer a different, specific customer, right? So let's drill into a pricing profile to see what are the key aspects you can configure there. First and foremost, let's say you want to create a base pricing profile for Azure Stack HCI. Now here again, like I said, you might want to charge back for the actual consumption of resources through various meters. We'll talk about meter-based pricing in a little while. But before that, you might have other types of costs that are outside of the consumption of resources that you want to also account for and charge back your customers. And these could be set in the form of a monthly fee, a flat monthly fee that you charge your customers. Or it could even be a one-time fee, meaning let's say there's a cost that you incur every month, when somebody subscribes to your offers, and you want to charge them that flat fee every month, irrespective of their resource consumption. And then you also have an overhead cost where every time you onboard a customer for the first time, you want to be able to charge for that one-time fee, right? And that's where you could use the monthly fee and one-time fee fields to accordingly optionally configure these and account for these. You can also configure which currency you want to charge back your customers on. And then if you want to run some promotions, you could go on and define, promotions here, like either recurring monthly promotions or one-time promotions where you offer a discount just one time, or you want to offer a discount every month. Then again, you could give credits based on a defined dollar value or as a percentage of the bill that's generated. Again, these could be based on the agreements you have negotiated with your respective customers, and you could create unique pricing models. If you also have a hierarchical pricing model where you have a base fee and then you want to mark up or mark down for certain customers based on a flat percentage, then you could use the markup percentage field as well. Then there are other bells and whistles here, like being able to configure tax rates and so on and so forth. So just remember, this solution has evolved over the past decade, talking to service providers and enterprise customers across the globe in pretty much every market and nook and corner of the world. So you know how every territory varies in terms of how they charge the customers. Some of them want to do it in a prepaid model. Some of them want to do it in a postpaid model. Some of them want to do in flat fee based. Some of them want to do in consumption based. So whatever your needs may be, you could fit them all and align and configure them in Hybr already with the built-in features. Or if there's a gap, we're always happy to add that capability, as part of the product. Now let's look at how meter-based pricing can be configured specifically for HCI. Now you drill into a pricing profile and then view the out-of-the-box meters that are available for various types of offerings you could have in HCI. For example, here you see several meters related to Kubernetes service. Like for example, you want to charge based on the capacity of CPU cores or based on the memory. You could pick the appropriate percentage, appropriate meter, and then configure the pricing for that. So let's pick the CPU cores, meter at the top, and then edit the pricing for that, right? So let's say you want to charge $10 per month for every CPU core that is utilized on a Kubernetes cluster. Then you would simply say the monthly unit price is $10, and then it automatically shows you the hourly unit price prorated based on the monthly price. And then you might say optionally that irrespective of how much they consume over the course of the month, I want to charge a minimum monthly fee for every Kubernetes cluster that's created out there. So then you could say minimum monthly fee is $3. So which means even if they just use the service for 5 days in the whole month, they would still be charged $3, because that's the minimum monthly fee. But once they cross the minimum monthly fee threshold in terms of consumption, then the actual fee charged is based on the pure consumption-based fee. So there's several other such mechanisms available to tune and customize your pricing configuration. You could set formulas, for example, if you want to offer a formula-based pricing, you could do that in the previous screen, and then in the next screen, you can also define conditions in which you could mimic SKU-based pricing models, right? You could say, hey, if the CPU cores are greater than 4, then you charge so much. If it's between 4 and 8, charge so much. If it's less than 4, charge so much. You could do all that. Or you could use filter properties where you could add various filter criteria that says if the click on the add button there above filter properties, you would have the ability to define, okay, if the Kubernetes cluster naming convention follows a certain pattern, like gold star, meaning gold is the name of the Kubernetes cluster, and you put a star as a wildcard next to it, which means any Kubernetes cluster named starting with gold, then you could go on to charge or apply that pricing model specific to those kind of resources, right? So there's several things you could do, and again, we'll be happy to work with you as part of the onboarding process, understand your pricing configurations, help you build these pricing profiles. In fact, we build them in our own labs, export them as a JSON, and then send it to you so that you can integrate it in your Hybr environment, and then start leveraging those pricing configurations quickly. So once you've done all of this, then you go on to bundle all of these as a service and make them available as plans and offers that end users can subscribe to. And the way you do that is to go to plans and offers in Hybr. In the navigation pane, you see under customers, plans and offers. You go there. A plan is nothing but a container that encapsulates one or more services within Hybr. In Hybr, we have various services like vConnect, which enables multi-cloud provisioning and management, and you have the billing service to track consumption and monetize, and then you have service catalog, marketplace experience, and so on. So let's take the billing service, for example. So when you create a plan and you want to define how you want to charge back, then you go to the billing service and then define the pricing profile that you want to associate with this plan. So that way, the system knows what is the rate card to apply for any resource provisioned as part of a subscription created in Hybr for this particular plan. Now, you might remember in Azure Public Cloud or AWS, for you to consume any service, you got to have a subscription. And that subscription is a subscription to a particular offer based on a given plan. So similarly, in Hybr as well, we have the concept of plans, offers, and subscriptions. And when an end user subscribes to this plan, they are entitled to consume the services that are bundled into this plan based on the quota limits and the rating or pricing configurations defined. And here you see you can also automatically suspend the subscription when the invoice is overdue. For example, if they're doing a prepaid model, you want to automatically suspend the subscription or you want to, if the invoice is overdue, they don't pay it for a certain number of days, you want to automatically suspend the subscription. There are mechanisms for you to be able to do that. And we can quickly show the quota settings for the weekend service as well before we move on to the end user experience here. So, you can also define quota settings, like I said earlier, in terms of what clusters your end customers can provision against. Remember, you are a managed service provider, you have dedicated clusters for different customers. Then if you create a plan for a specific customer, you would pick and choose the clusters that belong to that customer and make them available for provisioning and management for that customer. And then you can also define limits in terms of to what extent somebody can provision VMs, how many VMs can provide, provision, what's the cumulative cost across all those VMs. Is there any limit to it? You could either say unlimited or you could put specific limits there. You could also, optionally say which operations are allowed or disallowed. And you can even optionally, turn on some workflows that have to be injected as part of the provisioning and management process. So all of this can be configured right here as part of the policy and quota settings features. So essentially, remember going back to the key solution elements we talked about self-service capability, we talked about provisioning management, policies, governance, pricing configurations. That's what you see here essentially, in the Hybr portal. And as an operator, you configure all of these, then you're ready to offer it as a service. Now let's switch to the end user portal experience, which is demo.hybr.com, which is a dedicated portal experience. So here, you have demo.hybr.com. This is where your end users come and consume Hybr services. So depending on which plans they've subscribed to, they would automatically see all the related services light up in the navigation pane. So you see here in this particular case, they have the reporting capability, marketplace catalogs, service catalogs. They have the vConnect service through which they can provision manage VMs against, Azure Stack HCI. They can also view the billing data and so on and so forth, right? So let's look at how they can easily view the ongoing billing data as an end user. You can go to the billing tab in the navigation pane, and then it provides you with all these snapshot of for any given monthly billing period. What are the subscriptions that you had subscribed to in that period, and then what were the associated costs for those subscriptions in that period, right? And then you can see a quick trend chart below. And then you can also, drill down into the details and download this information into a CSV file and slice and dice the raw data information, right? So you can see which services are consuming what, how does this whole thing break down, and then you can even go at the resource level and on a day-to-day basis what the actual consumption details were, and then be able to, analyze the data, right? And you can also provision manage workloads right from here in the Hybr portal itself, in the end user portal. So you can go to the vConnect tab in the end user portal, and then here you would see all the resources that you're provisioned, and you can manage them right from this place. So again, this experience is similar to a public cloud where you can get to see all the VMs you're provisioned or Kubernetes clusters you're provisioned, and then perform various operations against them. Let's just flip back to the operators portal here to show you some of the rich dashboards and reports that you as an operator have access to. So again, as I said, like these reports can also be made available to the end user to provide just a subset view of the data that belongs to them. But let's look at an all-up view here for the operators. So we are in the dashboards feature, which you can access through the navigation pane by clicking on reporting dashboards. And it will display all the out-of-the-box dashboards that are available in the platform. And right now you're seeing a cluster level CPU utilization trend report. So this gives you insight into the health of your underlying HCI infrastructure. You can filter by each cluster belonging to different customers, or if you're operating it on your own, as an enterprise, you could do that. You can filter by cluster, or you can view it across clusters. You can see the CPU usage and other metrics like memory utilization, storage utilization, and so on. You can also view them at a cluster node level or VM level. So all of this information is available pretty quickly for you to access right from this portal. Now the beautiful thing is all of these are not just canned reports and dashboards that you can't extend or change. If you want to change the look and feel, you have access to a rich designer of each of these dashboards right within the portal. You can switch to the designer view and then change the way you want this to look and feel. So you want to switch from a line chart to a bar chart or a donut chart or a pie chart, whatever the case may be. You could easily change the layout and the design of each of these charts. You have access to data sources within Hybr platform, so you can even build new dashboards on your own from scratch. And when you create a new dashboard, you have the option and opportunity to define who does this dashboard need to be displayed to. Is it just for the admins because you want to see an all-up view, or you want to make it available for tenants so that they can see from an end user standpoint the report as it applies to them. So it's going to be a subset of the resources that belong to them only, whereas as an admin you're going to have access to the all up information across all customers, and you can draft them and publish them eventually when it's ready. There's a lot of things that you can do here. You could even schedule these reports and dashboards to be automatically emailed to a defined audience in a defined cadence. So which means like you don't want to come to the portal every single time you're an executive. You want to get a snapshot of the key dashboards and reports delivered to your mailbox. You could easily configure that, and you could also in fact annotate information right within the dashboard so that you can collaborate with your colleagues. Let's say you're analyzing the utilization trend of your HCI cluster in terms of CPU consumption. You see that maybe it's time to upgrade infrastructure. Then you could easily go to that particular dashboard and then point that out and then annotate it and then add a comment by mentioning the name of your colleague, and then they'll get a notification in the portal when that happens, and then they can quickly take action on it. And then they also are billing reports. Besides being able to monitor the health, you can also view the billing and revenue data across all of your customers, for all the services that you provide. It could be HCI related, it could be non-HCI related, all the services that you want to integrate with Hybr and offer it as a service. Maybe you have VMware and HCI and you're also a CSP a partner, and so be it your resale sales of Microsoft 365 or Azure, or be it Azure Stack HCI infrastructure that you have offered as a service, or the VMware service that you offer to your end customers, you could get to see the ongoing costs of every single service consolidated by customer and their subscriptions, and then be able to drill down that and then view the data on a trend basis, month over month and so on and so forth. And again, this data can also be downloaded or exported into various formats for you to further slice and dice that information. So that kind of covers, in a nutshell, the key capabilities of Hybr and how it can help you monetize your Azure Stack HCI infrastructure. If you remember, I talked about how you could define various pricing configurations, including Azure-like pricing configurations. Whatever your case may be, feel free to work with us if you're interested in exploring Hybr. We can help you do a POC. We can understand your pricing configuration requirements, build them in our labs, and then share them with you as a JSON you can import, and then so you can do a POC and see it for yourself. How Hybr can be of value. And so please feel free to reach out to us to learn more and for more detailed demo of the capabilities of Hybr. With that, I'll quickly um, check if there are any questions waiting to be answered here.
No, Arvind. Currently, we don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. So let me just take back control here, and we can, bring up another poll, which you should see in your screen shortly. So what specific problem or use case is your organization looking to address with Hybr for Azure Stack HCI? Is it about enabling multi-tenancy or monetizing it or self-service provisioning or anything else? Please do respond. We'd love to hear. All right, while you respond to that, I see people starting to respond there. While you respond to that, I'll just quickly, call out a couple of other things related to licensing and roadmap. So licensing Azure Stack HCI is pretty straightforward. We charge you based on the size of your underlying infrastructure. It could be aligned with HCI cores or CPU sockets. But I think it's easy to align with CPU cores because that's how you pay Microsoft. Then if you're only going to use the billing feature and not necessarily the provisioning and management features, we could also tailor the billing related pricing based on the number of bills that you would want to generate and so on. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and we provide subscription and perpetual based models. So depending on your needs, we can provide a tailored quote. And in terms of the roadmap, as you can see here, we are pretty much evolving the platform over a period of time. We have AKS, VM provisioning management, SDN features all built in. There are PaaS integrations coming along the way, and like Azure Virtual Desktop or SQL for that matter. And then we'll also be looking forward to the Microsoft Ignite event, where there might be new announcements related to Azure Stack HCI and the 24H2 version of it. All right. Any other questions? All right, if there aren't any other questions, so here's how you could get in touch with us. You can write to info@cloudassert.com for any questions about our product and how we can help you with Azure Stack HCI and monetizing it. We'd be happy to do more detailed demos, help you, do a POC if you're interested in, provide you price codes and whatnot. Or if you're a partner that wants to take our product to your market, your region, and sell it to other customers, resell it to other customers, then you can again write to info@cloudassert.com. We love partners and we always onboard them in new territories. So, please help us take Hybr to your markets and reach out to us. All right, so it doesn't appear that there are any questions to be answered. So you can always reach out to us anytime, if you get questions later at info@cloudassert.com, like I said. And thank you so much for joining the session today and taking your precious time off your schedule. I hope you found the session to be of value as to how you could monetize Azure Stack HCI with the Hybr platform. Let's stay in touch